Alrighty, y'all, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. We're looking at a pretty fun video, I reckon, today. Really excited for it, so let's just get right into it. It's 50 words Australians pronounce weird. American versus Australian pronunciation. Sounds pretty fun. This is from a channel called Tristan Kuhn. I have reacted to a couple of his videos before. He has some interesting things on the topic of like America versus Australian. So that's definitely up my alley. Let's check it out, guys, and I look forward to seeing the comment section on this one too, because our pronunciations can be quite bizarre to one another, I think. So here we go.
Emu, 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 emu.
Yeah, that first one, luckily, I think on my own I pronounced that correctly. I don't know how, but when you guys coached me on emu, I made sure it stuck. So emu is what you hear a lot in the U.S., and I actually agree. I think that's really goofy. I do think it's goofy. I'll defend American pronunciations on here if I really do agree with them, but emu, that's just wrong. It is not right at all. Emu is better and feels more natural to me. So you guys win on that one.
Emu. What is good, y'all? Tristan here, and today I am back with a new video. We are talking about 50 words that Americans and Australians just pronounce differently. As you can tell by the intro, the first word that Americans and Australians just pronounce differently is emu. So Americans pronounce it emu, Australians pronounce it emu. I recently did a video where I said emu, and y'all just about lost it in the comment section. Everyone going after me for saying emu wrong or saying it the American way. There's actually that video of me saying emu that kind of helped inspire this video. I had a bunch of people reach out to me saying that I should do a video about words that are pronounced differently. The first one to reach out to me was a subscriber named Craig, so shout out to you, Craig. But Craig, when he reached out to me, he sent me about 5 to 10 words that we pronounce differently. One of them being his very own name. He said, the way I say it, just have been saying it, Craig.
Yeah, Craig.
Is wrong, or not how they say it in Australia. In Australia, they pronounce it Craig. They really emphasize that A, Craig. Whereas in America, we just kind of pronounce
that's fair. I don't think anyone's right there. I think Craig or Craig. It's what you
that name as like as if it had an E, like C-R-E-G, Craig. Anyways, those are the first two, but we got 48 more awesome words. So here we go. Number 3 is Puma, or as they would say it in Australia, Puma, like the cat or the apparel company, or there's a petrol station line.
Yeah, I have Puma. I have a Puma pair of sandals. There you go, and a Puma hoodie. And I definitely say Puma. Definitely say Puma. Puma. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna give the American pronunciation a point on that one.
Kind of like 7-Elevens here in Australia called
that's too weird
Pumas,
for me.
or what they say Puma, like a little gun, like pew pew pew. I don't know. That's what I think of when I think of it. But yeah, pew pew Puma. Number 4 is buoy, or as they say it in Australia, boy. Like the little thing that floats in the water. We pronounce that buoy. Here in Australia, they pronounce it boy. Like boy and girl, kind of, yeah, same thing. Boy. Before I say more of these words, I just need to make a quick disclaimer and say that not all Americans say this like the American way, and not all Australians say these words the like Australian way. I ran this video this list.
Yeah, because I've heard some Americans say the name Craig and say it Craig or whatever. So like he said, some of these are not going to be correct for everyone from each region.
By a couple Australians, there's like 4 or 5 Australians. Not all of them pronounced all the words the exact same. Like there are a couple words that like a couple of them said it the American way. There's actually like 1 or 2 words on this list that I say the Australian way. But in general, I think most Australians say it the Australian way, and most Americans will say it the American way in terms of this video. All right, there we go. That was the disclaimer. Number 5 is Nutella. This yummy stuff. Americans like me.
Okay, wait. There we go. This is one of the ones where I'm going to be crossing over. And this might happen for you guys too. You got to tell me down in the comments. I say Nutella. Nutella. Like that looks like it's going to be the Aussie pronunciation. He says Nutella. Wow. I'll be honest. I haven't heard a lot of Americans say Nutella. I've always heard Nutella. Nutella. Everyone I know says Nutella. That's weird.
I would pronounce this Nutella, like it's Nutella. Here in Australia, they pronounce it Nutella, like a nut.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Nutella. Number 6 is the popular card game Uno. In America, we pronounce it Uno.
Well, that isn't fair, right? We're close to Mexico. Spanish is literally the official second language of even the United States. I've surrounded by Spanish speakers in my wife's family, so. Yeah, Uno makes sense. That's how it's supposed to be pronounced. No offense on this one. it is uno because it's a Spanish word. It's not even an English word.
It's kind of like the emu one. Uno. Here it is more pronounced like uno. Number 7 is caramel, or as it said in Australia, caramel. 8 is tomato.
That one can go either way. I think I used to say caramel when I was younger, and it morphed into caramel. I say caramel now. That one's tomato. Same with this one.
Or as it said in Australia, tomato. Number 9 is a crazy one. It is this stuff that you like put over food and whatnot.
Aluminum foil?
We would call it in America aluminum.
Right.
Here in Australia, it is aluminium.
That one's a big debate, and I'm not going to open Pandora's box on that one. All I'm going to say is when aluminum first was like a word, or when it was first discovered, I think it was like the British whatever so-and-so that discovered it actually wrote it down as aluminum. Aluminium was like coined later on. So anyway,
10 is the
just
apparel
saying.
company. In America, we would pronounce this as Adidas. However, here in Australia, it is Adidas. One thing I want to note real quick is a lot of these differences in pronunciations are like they come from England, and so a lot of these words that Australians say differently to Americans, you could almost make this whole list and say English people also say these words different. Not for all of them, but as a general rule of thumb, you could say it for most. Number 11 is this car company right here. So we would pronounce this in America as Nissan. However, here in Australia, it is pronounced Nissan. Number 12 is this, I don't know, breathing, respiratory condition, whatever you want to call it. In America, we call it asthma, and in Australia, it's pronounced asthma. We kind of say it more like a Z sound, like asthma, where here it's more like an S sound, like asthma. 13 is this plant. We would call it oregano in the States. However, here in Australia, it is pronounced oregano. This plant right here,
that's weird.
I would pronounce this, or Americans would pronounce this as basil. However, in Australia, it is pronounced basil. This nut right here.
Now, I've heard people in America say basil before. More on the rare side, but it's there. But basil, yeah, I can't correct that. That's too ingrained to me. A lot of these, if I do align with American pronunciation, a lot of these I'll just, it would be hard to break. Before he even says it, is this pecan or pecan? This one, I'll admit it. I don't know why our brains do this. I am 50-50. Sometimes I say pecans. Sometimes I say pecans. I don't know why that changes. That's weird. I've said both, and I would say both again. They both sound cool to me.
Me and most Americans would pronounce this as pecan. However, in Australia, most people pronounce this as pecan. Now, number 16 is kind of an iffy one because I actually naturally say this one the Australian way, but I've heard it both ways in America. So that is apricot. Or apricot. So apricot is like the American way, but I've always pronounced it apricot, which is how like everyone in Australia pronounces it. Number 17 is filet, or it's filet if you're American. Here in Australia, they pronounce it as fillet, so it is fillet of fish. Or
that is different. I thought filet was derived from like French or something, right? Wouldn't filet be proper? I'm not sure.
Filet of fish, fillet. Now the next two are just letters, but that is the letter Z, so I pronounce it Z as I just said. But in Australia they pronounce it Z. The next letter is this letter. H is that I would say it. However, and like some people in Australia do say H, but a lot of them here pronounce it H, like H. 20
that is
weird.
Weird.
Leisure, so me and like every American pronounces it leisure. I've never heard it pronounced any other way. However, I came here to Australia and they pronounce it leisure. The next two are countries, so Iraq, we pronounce it Iraq. Here they pronounce it Iraq. Like we say I, they say Iraq, Iraq. Same thing for the next one, which is Iran, Iran. Yeah, just a minor difference. 23 is fragile, or it's fragile if you're American. Here in Australia, how they say it is it's fragile.
Fragile. Like, I've heard both in America. I think I've even said fragile before. I don't know why I switched. Do you guys do that? Do you ever have a certain word and sometimes just say it both ways on accident? Like you'll catch yourself one week you say it one way and the next week you say it the other. I say fragile probably 90% of the time, so this isn't like some of the other words so far, but I've said fragile before.
They say aisle, we say oh. 24 is missile, or as they would say it in Australia, missile. And 25 is military, or as they would say it in Australia, military. America, military. Australia, military. Now 26 is going to be the most controversial of them all, because not all Australians, I would actually say most Australians don't say this word this way, but I've heard of a couple say it, and I'm telling you, it is so wrong. It sounds, of all the ones, this is the most triggering for me. I hate it when people pronounce this word this way, and that is vitamins.
Vitamins.
Like, did you take your vitamins this morning? You know, it's healthy to take your vitamins.
Yeah.
Some people in Australia, I don't know why, but they pronounce it vitamins. No, it can't be. It's not vitamins. That just sounds so wrong. All these.
It doesn't bother me as much as it might bother him, but yeah, I'm not on board with vitamins. That's pretty weird. Vitamins
words
is
that
the
I've
way to
said,
go there.
Not one way is right over the other. They're just different ways of pronouncing words. But this one, I'm gonna stick by it and say vitamins is right. Vitamins, it just sounds wrong. 27. In America, we say garage. In Australia, some people still say garage, but a lot of people here also say garage. That one seems to be about like a 50-50.
I may add that part of the Midwest accent, specifically Chicago. I'm not a thick Chicago accent like some people have a thick Chicago accent, and that can deal with a lot of words, not even garage, my bad. I don't know why I'm thinking of this, but I'm just going to throw it in there. So my Midwest accent, a lot of people say garage. So not even garage or garage. It's literally take the A out and just Grage, garage. That's what I say. I say back it into the garage. So that's part of a Midwest thing. A lot of people in the Midwest say that, but then when I've traveled to other parts of the U.S., you do hear garage more, you know. So yeah, even mine might be even different than both of these sometimes, just because of Midwest Chicago area accent.
That
we say
one seems to be
certain
about like a
things
50-50
different.
split here. It's kind of like there's an American way to say it and an English way to say it, and in Australia they kind of, I don't know, they kind of do both. 28 is this lovely striped animal right over here. I would pronounce this, Americans would pronounce this as zebra. However, in Australia they pronounce it zebra. 29 is mobile, or as they would say it in Australia, mobile. 30 is a crazy one because when I first heard it, like, I thought it was a different word. I didn't realize that they were saying the same word, just pronouncing it different. But that's cordial or cordial. So yeah, in America we pronounce it cordial, whereas here in Australia.
You guys have sent me cordial in mail time before. I didn't realize you guys actually said cordial. Wow, yeah, that's definitely cordial.
It's pronounced
in America.
Cordial. 31 is advertisement, and the difference is like which syllable you stress. So in American English, we would say advertisement,
right.
And in Australian English, you say advertisement. It's like there's more emphasis on the vert part. When we shorten that word, we refer to it as an ad, like, oh, did you see the Super Bowl ad? Whereas in Australia, when they like shorten that word down, they shorten it down to advert. So like, oh, did you see that advert? 32 is depot. So yeah, Americans, we pronounce it depot. In Australia, they pronounce it depot. 33 is this fragile little thing that you put flowers.
This is so messed up. In America, people say it like a million different ways. I don't think anyone cares. I don't care anymore. Call it whatever the hell you want. Because I've heard so many like dramatic like ways of pronouncing this. I just say vase.
And so we would pronounce it in American English as vase, whereas here in Australia they pronounce it vase. So the way we say it, it rhymes with like face, like your face, vase, face. Whereas here it is vase, as in like phase, like it doesn't phase me. Phase, vase, face, vase, phase. Vase. Yeah, I think
that one's
right.
a weird one.
Yeah, you get it. Vase.
That's hard to un-American that word. Yeah.
You got it. You got it already. Moving on. 34 is adult, or as they would say in Australia, adult. 35 is mom, which they say in Australia as mom.
I knew that one.
That's also English influence, but this is kind of more than just a different pronunciation because we spell it M-O-M, and here in Australia they spell it M-U-M. So it's
that is funny.
I don't know. I don't know if they
the mum one is cool though, right? It's uniquely Australian. And I'm kind of glad they're different. That like identifies it as Australian. So like, you know, like actually my wife, I guess I watched it with her too sometimes. But my wife used to watch a show called like Yummy Mummies or something. And so like in that context, it's funny. Like mum, it's a funny word, whereas we say mom, right? So
it's just a different word, but yeah,
it's cool.
Mom. 36 is premiere or premiere. So in American English, we would say
premiere?
This word
That's
as
weird.
premiere.
Yeah, we just say premiere.
Australian premiere. I kind of like the way Australians say it more. I think that sounds more right. So yeah.
I'm gonna have to disagree there. I'm too I guess attached to premiere. Premiere. That sounds right. Premiere. I honestly can't even undo it. I can't say it the Australian way. It's weird.
Premiere. 37 is herb, or herb. I just said it the Australian way. In American English, herb, you just don't pronounce the H.
Silent H.
And in Australian English, it is herb. You do pronounce the H.
That's funny.
38 is scone. So this thing right here, we pronounce that in American English as scone, whereas in Australian English, it is pronounced scone. 39 is this car brand right here.
This one is funny too. This is Hyundai. Hyundai, that's what I say.
So in America, we pronounce this Hyundai, which everyone tells me is wrong. It probably is. So we pronounce this as Hyundai. Here, they pronounce it as Hyundai. Americans make it like 2 syllables, like Hyundai. Australians, 3 syllables, Hyundai.
Well, yeah, some Americans say Hyundai. Some Americans say Hyundai. I say Hyundai. Yeah, and then I guess it seems like everyone outside the U.S. says Hyundai. Like, I've heard that, so that is...
40 and 41 are quite similar, but that is semi, so yeah, we say this word as semi, like with the I, we say I at the end. In Australian English, they would pronounce it semi. Semi, but yeah, I know some Americans who say it the Australian way, the semi way. In similar fashion, we have anti and anti-Americans, hard I, long I, whatever.
That one's interchangeable, too. I've heard Americans say both. I think I've said both. I lean towards... I don't know what I lean towards. I think I say both 50%. I literally think I do.
Australians, anti. And similar to anti, we have
weird,
aunt
right?
or aunt. So and
we say
like,
aunt.
It goes. Americans say it both ways, but I've always said it aunt, like your aunt and uncle.
Right.
But there are some people in America who pronounce it aunt. Here in Australia, everyone pronounces it, or at least everyone I've met has pronounced it aunt, which honestly kind of makes sense because like, I don't know, your aunt isn't like an aunt, like she's an aunt. 43 is entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur.
So I've always pronounced this entrepreneur. In Australia, they pronounce this entrepreneur. So like entrepreneur. 44 is niche or niche. So in America, again, Americans say this
one, 50-50. Again, I am split 50-50. I've said both, and I don't know what sounds better.
Both ways. I've heard Americans say niche. I've heard Americans say niche. But it's pretty common to say niche.
I lean towards
I myself
niche.
Always said niche, but in Australia, no one says niche. It is niche here in Australia.
Yeah, I lean towards
45
niche,
is this spice right here, so I would pronounce this
turmeric.
as turmeric. However, in Australia, they would pronounce it as turmeric, like you have a tumor. Turmeric.
Wow, I say it different than both of those that he said. I say turmeric. So maybe I'm wrong.
You get it. 46 is bouquet. So I say bouquet, but like a soft O, bouquet. Here in Australia, they would pronounce it bouquet. A bouquet of flowers.
Fair enough.
Bouquet of flowers. Bouquet. 47, I don't know if it's necessarily a difference in pronunciation, but it's kind of like a word, but also pronunciation. So if you have an animal, like a dog, that is your pet. And your pet likes it when you pet them. Or that's what we would say in American English. You would say you pet your pet. You pet your dog.
Pet.
We use the word pet as a noun and a verb. Here in Australia, they don't do that. They would say you pat your dog. You pat your cat.
Wow.
I don't know if you have pat cats, but you get it.
That's fair
say,
too.
You pat your pet. We would say we
not
pet
not
our
the way
pet.
I'd
Now,
say
these
it, but
last
it
three
makes
all
sense.
kind of have to do with how Australians pronounce the R sound at the end of a word. So they just don't really pronounce it. So for example, we would say car, where here in Australia it's just like car. Like they hardly say the R. And this goes for like a bunch of words. Like any word that ends in like an IR, ER, AR, in Australia, just kind of how the accent is, they just say So like doctor, doctor, butter, butta, better, betta. The R is not really pronounced. Well, these last two, it's kind of a question for you Australians. It's going to be controversial, but I want to ask. These two cities, so y'all have Melbourne and y'all have Cairns. Australians love to get Americans a hard time for mispronouncing these cities. We call Melbourne, Mel-born, and we call Cairns, Cairns, because there's like an R there. Well, my question for you is, are we actually mispronouncing these cities, or are we just saying them with an American accent? It's hard for me to say one way or the other, because like on one hand, I'm like, I think like, whoever lives.
I went along and I say Melbourne and Cairns, but I don't think if someone says Mel-born, it's wrong. I think it's an accent, right? Everyone has accents. So it'd be weird if everyone had the exact same way of speaking around the world, right? I'm kind of glad there's accents. That's what gives the world some variety and difference. So yeah, I don't think saying, one of those cities different than most Australians say it is wrong. I think everyone has a different accent. I'm going to lean towards accents are fine. Australians may pronounce some American cities, wrong, right? Whatever wrong means. But it's just their accent, right? So I wouldn't say like, screw you, you can't pronounce that right. You know what I mean?
And that city gets to name the cities and like say how it's pronounced. So yes, it's Melbourne and it's Cairns. But then at the same time, I'm like, if the actual name of the city, if the actual name is actually Melbourne and the actual name is actually Cairns, it wouldn't matter because the Australian accent just leaves the R off if it's ever in the last syllable of a word.
Yeah,
so
he's got a little bit of a point because Australian accent likes to drop the R, right? The R is not stressed very strongly in the pronunciation. So I can see what he's saying there. Either way, please weigh in on this. I would love to see your comments down below. This was a really, really fun one. A lot of these were very interesting. Some of them I knew, and a lot of them I did not realize that you pronounced so differently. So that was really fun to learn. yeah, please throw a thumbs up on this if you got a laugh out of this and enjoyed it. And let's debate down in the comments who is right about some of these, huh? And subscribe, of course. We got a lot of fun stuff here. Great community, so I do appreciate you guys. Check that description out for this original video from Tristan. It will be linked down there, as well as other ways you can interact with my channel. Check out the Discord. It's popping. And check me out on Instagram and Facebook at IWrocker. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. And until next time, guys, catch you later.